All right. Wow. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday for November 19th, 2024. Let's take a deep breath in here. Wow. What a day, what a year, what a life this has been. And I'm so grateful that for November, let's see, Transformation Tuesday, we are a part of Paradigm Shifters. And Paradigm Shifters, we are a growing global community dedicated to shift and uplift the planet. Okay, and we've been going strong since March of 2020, and we're global. And we are here today in November. We've been like focusing on this optimist creed, which is such a beautiful document. And but I wanted to before I started, I want to ask anybody out there if perhaps they're anxious about different things. What are we? What are you? You know, that feeling of anxiety. Where perhaps you're uncertain with the world, uncertain within. So with the Optimist Creed, the very first promise is I promise myself to be so strong that nothing can disturb my peace of mind. Yeah. And then further on down, I love this part to think well of myself and to proclaim this fact to the world, not in loud words, but in great deeds. And so I've asked our guest speaker to come in here, a great friend of mine, Wayne Forrest, TEDx speaker and live life coach from New Zealand. And right now, tomorrow in New Zealand, I love that I can always do this. So let me give you a little bit about background on Wayne. Wayne was once a farmer and passionate rugby player. And Wayne's life took a drastic turn after a life-altering injury at the age of 25. A life-altering injury at the age of 25. Just imagine you're a rugby player, a farmer, life-altering injury, and you're 25 years old. Yeah. And so what do you do? Talk about anxiety, fears. Your whole life is burnout, everything you work for. So we're here to talk to Wayne about now and that some parts of that journey that may give you hope, tools to keep moving on. So now Wayne is a C4-5 tetraplegic. Wayne has turned his experience into a powerful story of resilience. And he dedicated his whole life to helping others overcome challenges and live with joy and fulfillment. So with that, I'm going to invite you to come on in here, Wayne, from New Zealand. And I would love to have you tell us, I know you have your book, The Warrior Within, it's published, it's out there, and it's the story so much. Tell us a little bit about that process. I want to know, like, the process, any process that you think would be helpful to give our viewers who may be experiencing some life-altering stuff, injury. Yeah. So come on in here.
Thank you, Judy. What an amazing welcome, mate. And it's just awesome to be here. Process, I have to admit, when you just were talking about the 25, being 25 at that age of my accident in my prime, and it actually felt quite heavy. I just it hit me in that moment of wow, the weight of that, at that time. It took me back a little bit, and that's ultimately that experience is the outcome of what I do today is because of that experience, and uh, that is gorgeous in itself. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got a little bit of pain. It's got a little bit of uh, looking back and going, wow, look where I've come. And so this process of that's in the book and even creating the book is really simple. And that is that we have to understand a couple of things. The first part is that there's two sides to our nature, and I like to call the human experience, which many of your listeners might have heard other speakers talk about or yourself talk about. The human experience is our beliefs made up with our upbringing, schooling, just going through this life so far up until this point, and what we've interpreted or had a perception of what's happened to us or what we've done and what we believe. And then we've got this other side of the nature, which is the spiritual side. And I like to call it the inner warrior, or if the ladies out there like to call it the inner goddess, right? And I tell my clients, especially women, claim the inner goddess, right? And that side of our nature is whole, it's perfect, it's 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 infinite, it's unconditional love. The human experience is conditioned love quite often, right? But the inner warrior is unconditional love. And that unconditional love is abundant, it is gratitude. And so when we understand these two sides of the nature, we can then understand that the human experience, or if we are experiencing in the moment sort of anxiety, frustration, anger, um, anything that's lower nature, like sadness, it has to be human experience in that moment.
Can you give me a real life example of where you were drawing on your inner warrior? I know you have a bunch of YouTubes out there, and you give some strategies. That's what I love about this, of where like an actual experience. Take us into an experience, perhaps even recently. I know that,
Well,
yeah, that you can just give the experience in what tools or strategies you pulled from your inner warrior.
Well, a good example was I've had a little bit of a challenge getting my book up online in Amazon, right? Being in New Zealand, a long way away, sort of just the challenges of getting the script up as so people can print out the book and get it sent to them through Amazon. And it took me a whole month to get a copy for myself, right? And I got it up on Amazon. I looked through the copy and I was like, oh my God, gosh, anxiety hit me. I had that gut feeling, oh dear, this is not right. Um, there was things wrong with it. The inside of the book, all the pages weren't right, the numbers weren't right. There was all sorts of things that were wrong with it. My anxiety took over in that moment, and I really felt that human experience of, oh, people have bought this book. Um, it's not perfect, right? In that moment, I realized how I was feeling, and I took a breath, and I claimed my inner warrior, right, within me, knowing that there was a solution to every problem. And in that moment, I could stand in that inner warrior, right? And as it worked out, a couple of hours later, I got someone to help me over in the States to sort out the transcript. I at the end of that, I felt like we'd made that transcript even better, right? And I realized in that moment, and I started to laugh at myself that I had felt anxiety only 2 hours ago. I had felt a knot in my stomach that kept replaying on itself for those 2 hours at different interviews. I had to keep reminding myself, come on, there's a solution here, right? And here I was finding the solution and making the book even better than it was. And I laughed because I realized in that moment that the human experience is meant to happen so I can feel this joy, blissness in this moment right here, right? And and that is an example of what I write in a book that is it's all about creating that inner warrior relationship with our inner warrior throughout the day and claiming that inner warrior in us in every moment, knowing, like I said, that that side of us is infinite, it is powerful, it has got all the answers we need, it is abundant. And when you start to create that belief through some practical tools that I've got in the book, then you can stand in that power every time and you can really start to enjoy those challenges or times of anxiety that people might go through
So
in
I
their
want to
life.
bring you back too to for you parents out there, because that I've been talking, speaking in the work that I do with this worry about the generations, and I know that you're a father, which is awesome. And I want you to, if you could, take back into the time you told me the last time we were talking about your daughters and their schools and what it is that decision, because that had to be like kind of heart wrenching, right? Part the beginning of it. Can you tell us about where their inner warriors or goddesses, right? Where, but your whole family, the decisions that you made from that inner space. Can you tell us about that situations? I just know there's quite a few people around the world in the states that are going through that situation right now.
And I assume that you're sort of talking about leaving the traditional school, packing up our things and moving across the country to start a new school or give the kids a new opportunity. As some of you might know, she's now 18. She's the end of her, I think you guys call it high school over there, right? So she's last year of high school, and she's coming to the end of that now. And just to give you a bit of a backstory, I've got also a 15, is he 15, 15-year-old son as well, right? And we, my daughter was 15, 16, and she was going through what we call year 11 here, which is sort of the last 3 years of that college schooling, and they do exams and stuff. And she really disconnected from school. She's always liked to do well, but she was just going through the motions. Um, she was schooling doesn't come easy for her. She's a little bit dyslexic, and so myself and my wife had a discussion. Okay, what can we do here we've only got this little window of opportunity where we get to have an influence on what they do in their life. Between left, between that 15 and 18. And so we decided that there was a green school in New Zealand on the other side of the island that we lived. So we sold the house and we decided that we were going to take the kids over there. My son is he's really nuts on sports, loves sports. So we put him in the traditional boys' high school over here. And he had a lot of challenges with coming into a new area and with the kids and wasn't enjoying it. Um, Long story short, he ended up at the green school as well, end of last year. And the green school's philosophy is environmental, it's green, it's, it's trying to live sustainably as a school. And it does a great job. It's a beautiful grounds. It's got bush around it. It's got amazing buildings that are state of the art. And there's a cost to it, of course. It's a private school, and we just took blind faith that this was the right thing to do. We didn't have a house when we got over here, and I'm in a wheelchair, so finding a house that's suitable was really challenging at times. And we had to live in a motel, but we just kept on going with blind faith. We found a house. We lived into that inner warrior of just knowing there was a solution. Even when my son started, we didn't really have the money from the start, but we booked them in. We paid the deposit. Guess what? The money turned up. It's this is what a lot of your listeners will know, but actually living it is a totally different story. And that's coming back. My daughter is the last year, and I'm so proud of her because Judy, as I was showing you before this recording, she's written and done all the pictures herself of her own book. She has to do a greenstone project, so she has to do her own normal schoolwork plus this project. She
Oh,
has to
yeah.
do a 20.
Hang on a second, because I want you to continue, but I want it. So it just blows my mind. This is like, in addition to her schooling, and I love
Yes.
the fact that it's a green school. You know, I am white, right? Uh, okay. In addition to the schooling, she's required to do a project, and this project is this book. Can you show it to us again? You were just telling me about that. So this is how
So
this, you guys, this is how Wayne, Inner Warrior, has gone through the generation, and your children's has their inner warriors, or whatever you want to call it. And this, I want this book is amazing. So is yours, but I want it. Can you hold that up again? And I'm going to get off here so you can show that book. Shelley said,
yeah, no, it's Shelley Saves the Sea, and there's a bit of a story behind it because this came about because she has to do a 20-minute talk on the 5th of December. And it has to be about her journey. And this year she had to do a project where she makes a difference in the world, right? So it was about, she started about the sea, and she's always been really passionate about sharks. So overfishing, and shark finning, that kind of thing. She was really wanted to make a difference, but it was such a big topic that it was kind of, blew her poor 17-year-old mind. So she then looked at the rubbish in the sea and how much fishing waste and rubbish and stuff like that is in the sea. And She didn't know what to do. And then I love this, but one morning she woke up and she says, Dad, I've got it. I dreamt it last night. I'm going to write a book called Shelley the Shark Saves the Sea. And and so that was her project for the year. So it is about a shark that goes around. It's sort of for the age of 5, 6, 7, I would say 8, probably, um, written. And it's about the shark that um, goes through a trash storm and gets separated from her parents and then goes around and helping others while she's looking for her parents, cleaning up their rubbish or the rubbish that is affecting their homes. So it's about an eel and a flounder and something else. But it's just, I'm so proud of it because she has created this book, which she's going to sell through to green school parents as, coming up to Christmas, and charity, the profit's going to go to charity of her choice, which is something to do with the sea. I don't know what it is yet. But the point is that the reflection that's created, um, and our willingness to live into that inner warrior and trust that power that's breathing us and go with what feels right has an impact on everyone around us. And I think that is the biggest story here. We're still hoping for this 15-year-old. He's been my biggest teacher. He's a little bit different again, but hey, I'm with the support. He's going through a bit of a hard time now, being a teenager, but I think with the support, I'm hoping that he will also find, what makes him come alive, and fight for that, because as we all know, the rigorous work is the the fighting to show up as the inner warrior or inner goddess. Um, the process is quite easy. It's as I explained in the book, and that's why the book is quite thin, because I wanted my book, sorry, is because I wanted the process to be simple, and the process to be simple.
And so I want to touch on something here, Wayne. This is really important. So you, as the parent, you just said that it affects everyone around you, especially your family, because parents are models and they're watching you, right? There's no mistake that she watched you go through the process of writing your book and that popped in. You did not tell her you were modeling. So if you don't mind, I want to find out even more about your parents, and because being a parent myself, right? Say it was like when you were 25 and your world were like,
Yeah.
tell if you could go. I want to go back because I feel this is really important. We also had parents, and tell
Yeah.
about the support that you, and I know your government is a little bit different than ours. I've done that's, but tell us the support that you got to keep moving forward and not just totally give up back then, because the inner warrior's been inside you, and I'm your community and parents too, seeing beyond. So tell me a little bit about that. I want to know.
There's a couple of things here that come to mind when you say that, Judy. And I've spoken to this a couple of times actually. Um, and the first one is we have to understand what was it that created the accident in the first place, right? There was a a paradigm that I had going into that day. And that was I wasn't good enough. And mine showed up in a way that I had to fight even harder, right? I had to do whatever it takes to prove that I was the ego man, right? Powerful farmer, tough rugby player. And I went into that tackle that day, and two opposition grabbed me and the ball at the same time. So I was fighting two against one, right? And rugby, it's a very dominant sport, so you have to. It was about winning the ball. I had the ball. It was my mentality was no way were they going to get the ball because that would show that I'm not good enough. Right. So then I threw my body in a position that put me into danger to win the ball. Guess what? We won the ball, but I dislocated my neck in the process. All right. So that's the first thing you have to understand, right? That was also part of my upbringing, was it was very, farmer, rugby, sport, very ego, ha ha ha, look at me. Not so much look at me, but it was sort of like because we have that tall poppy syndrome here in New Zealand, where if someone's poking their head out, everyone wants to cut them off. And so but it was that kind of ego upbringing of, you know, I'm a man, I can outwork anybody, I can be stronger than anybody, rah, 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 right? So that was part of my upbringing. But also, part of that upbringing was my parents never focused on the limitations. Never, right? We always focused on what you could do and what you're good at. And, you know, so it was the other side of that ego, if that makes sense. It was the good side of that ego. And so I can tell you a quick story of when I was in the wheelchair. It was just about snowing, farming. I was farming. My dad used to come up quite regularly just to have a cup of coffee. I was running the farm. I was managing it. I had a bike, dogs, and my beautiful wife, who I wasn't married to at the time, was helping me on the farm. She was my gate opener, and we pretty much ran that farm on our own. And one day it was really wet, cold, snowing. I have no regulation temperature. So, as a tetraplegic, and I understand this is the belief, right? It's a paradigm, but it's part of the human paradigm. My autonomic blood pressure stuff doesn't work properly. So, when it's hot, I get hot, I can't cool down. And when it's cold, I have trouble warming up, right? So I don't shiver, I don't get goosebumps or anything like that. So of course it's cold, I'm having a cup of coffee, and I know that there's a mob of sheep that need moving, right? The paddock, they need to be moved into a fresh paddock, or what would you call it over there? I don't know. Do you know what a paddock is, Judy?
A paddock? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. So that's cool. And Dad comes up as soon as he walks in the door and for his cup of coffee, he goes, "How come you haven't moved those sheep yet?" Right? He didn't see my disability in that moment. And that's why I tell that story is so important, is because I learned that I couldn't, right from obviously a young age, I picked the parents that I picked because they weren't going to acknowledge the disability, they were going to look at the possibility. So I was lucky to have that upbringing. So when I had my accident, I didn't look at the negativity, and I still don't. I had did an interview the other day on a local radio, and she asked me, how was it, those challenges, how did you, overcome them? And I was like, well, I didn't, it was hard, it's hard for me to look back at those challenges because I've been taught to look forward and look at what I can do. Um, and yes, I could have moved those sheep. I was waiting to warm up a little bit before I went and did it. But I went and got into my bike, and it was raining, just about snowing, and I was wrapped up in like an igloo, lots of jackets and lots of layers. But I went and moved those sheep, right?
All right.
And
Well, there you go. Point. You
and
guys are taking notes out there.
yeah, right. So
I'm taking notes here, and I want to just reference some things. Okay. I love the fact that you said, well, for number one, you had parenting where there was no limitations. They did not see limitations. It didn't even happen after that. So, and the second one, that's where you, as the parent, are teaching your kids and your daughter and stuff that there's no limitation. Boom, here's another the Shelley the Sage the Sea. I love that. But I think what you want to bring up now, and then I want to wrap some like a bow around this, is that you just said you didn't see your disability, or your dad didn't in the moment, or whatever. In other words, one of my friends says it's not a disability, it's your ability to get into that inner warrior, no matter what the condition. It could be snowing, freezing, hot, but okay, there's an inner warrior to tap into. And that was the whole thing. So, yeah, condition, I think you also talked about this condition based living. Like you say that's a human experience. And then there's that inner, infinite. That that what do we need to do to keep moving forward, right? No matter what. Well, and then you also talked about that conscious breath. In fact, I think we call it conscious breathing. There's all kinds of science behind all that. So what I would want to ask you now, one question. So, what is it that we, once this is going all over the globe, Wayne, and it's living on our YouTube channel and all that other fun stuff. What is it that you would love to tell people, and what we can hold for you and your family continuing to grow into it? What would you love to have us hold for you as you keep giving your impact? And I don't know about you, sometimes it's hard for me to even want to get on that impact thing, right? Impact the world. I love the fact that a project that makes a difference in the world, that's in the school of your daughter said, like, boom, boom, boom. So tell me what it is that you would love to have us hold for you, as you continue your impact.
It's actually quite simple, Judy, and that is for everyone to claim their inner goddess or inner warrior in every moment they possibly can. And like, I've got a real passion for men. That's why I wrote the book. The book's sort of for anybody, but it's aimed at men, and that's why it's only 70 pages long. It's nice and short, it's easy to read, and it's simple, and it's a beginner's process to creating that relationship with that spiritual side, right? And that's what I want for my impact to be, is to impact as many people as I possibly can, and we can put a figure on that, and that is millions of people, especially men, to stand in, especially in this modern world, where the modern masculine, what is that, right? And for me, that is someone who can look within, stand in that truth that is in their heart, right? Own their shit, as I say, right? Their pain, and stand and be connected to that feminine energy, uh, because there's so much confusion out there at the moment that I think we need more men standing in the modern masculine as well. So that's why I've written a book, and obviously looking forward. My daughter's got great plans on working on super yachts, um, and starting her life after this Christmas as an 18-year-old, and I just want her dreams, to live her dreams and live life to the fullest. And for myself, that is possibly another book in my trilogy of going deeper into my experiences and my stories that have brought me to where I am today.
So beautiful. Well, I know what I am going to get for every male on, on whatever this list, Christmas list, something that keeps on giving and giving, the warrior within. I love that. So let's
And Judy, just on that, there's online, there's on Amazon, there is the book, the companion book for those loved ones too, that go with the book, and that also is online, and they're very reasonable.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. Storms create warriors. So let's take a deep breath in here and we're going to put some energy, send it all around the globe to, to you. Okay. And knowing that everyone here, everyone's listening to this, get in touch right now with your inner warrior, your inner spirit, and take that energy and we're going to spread it all around the globe. For this time, November 2024 and beyond. And with that, we're going to send energy to New Zealand. There you go. And so it is, Wayne. Thank you so much for being who you are.
Thank you, Judy. It's a pleasure to be on your platform again, and I love our friendship.
Amen. Amen. Bam. Okay.